couple of weeks ago, I posted this picture of an inhalation burn. The patient had many of the classic signs of inhalation burns that they preach, but no dyspnea, no hoarseness, and no stridor. Do we need to intubate every patient with the classic signs of inhalation injury that they teach? Probably not. ABLS now says that many patients with singed nasal hairs, facial burns, and soot in the nares or on the tongue are overzealously and needlessly intubated. And the research you can find on PubMed aligns with this. So let's look at the literature to see who should be intubated for airway protection due to a suspected inhalation injury. An old standby EM text says to pay close attention to these patients and that prophylactic intubation may be needed in patients who are in a closed space fire because their airway may rapidly deteriorate even when the initial assessment is okay. And that's where the money is, people. The optimal phrase is in a closed space fire. When a patient has symptoms of an inhalation burn and they were in a closed space like a house that was on fire, or a car, or a shed, or whatever, I have a relatively hair trigger to put them down and intubate them if there are clinical findings suspicious of inhalation injury. Why do we aggressively manage these airways? Classic scenario, a house catches fire, homeowner tries to evacuate the family, goes back into the house looking for the cat. They then go back in looking for dead grandma's engagement ring. Where's the wedding photo album? And when they're in that burning structure, they are breathing superheated air and their airways getting burned. However, they are in a sympathetic overdrive because their freaking house is on fire. They're dumping catecholamines, norepi, epinephrine, dopamine. So their vasculature clamps down. The airway is highly vascular, and when those little itty bitty vessels clamp down, the patient won't initially get signs of an inhalation injury because their airway isn't swollen yet. But once those endogenous catecholamines deplete, kaboom, rapid airway swelling, and you may not be able to get them intubated, and that's a very bad situation that I don't think I need to go into detail explaining. Do I intubate every burn patient who suffered a flash burn from lighting a grill or poured too much oil in their wok, and they have singed nasal hairs, facial burns, and they look like a cartoon character who stuck their finger in an electric socket or played with dynamite? No, you have to consider the mechanism of injury, the duration of exposure to the heat, the type of exposure, the totality of the circumstances. And for me, burns plus being inside of a structure that was on fire and these criteria, I would like to better be safe than sorry. Because once that opportunity to intubate the patient in more optimal conditions passes, it ain't coming back. And every time I have pulled the trigger and intubated one of these closed space inhalation burns, I have thanked my lucky stars that we tubed the patient when we did.